Welcome to the JLLB Media Podcast, episode 15. Hello and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into something that really affects pretty much every decision you make, online or off, sometimes without you even noticing. The topic: the psychology of design, how visuals influence customer decisions.
Absolutely.
Our mission, basically, is to wade through a whole stack of interesting sources, things like cognitive science research, marketing studies, to figure out just how powerful design really is. Because it's way more than just looking nice, right? It's a serious business tool. It shapes how people see things, triggers emotions, and yeah, it drives decisions.
And what's really, really fascinating, something that pops up everywhere in the research, is that the human brain processes visuals, get this, 60,000 times faster than text.
Wow, 60,000 times.
Yeah. I mean, just think about that. It means those first impressions, they happen in milliseconds, like way before you've even had a chance to read a single word.
That's incredible. So basically how a brand looks is shouting messages about, I don't know, trust, quality, what it is, almost instantly. So this deep dive then is going to unpack some specific principles, look at real examples, and show how smart design works as this sort of silent but really powerful communicator for any business.
Exactly. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, it means every little visual thing, like a button's color or the shape of a logo, even just the layout of a website, it's sending a signal.
Telling the story.
It's telling the story, yeah. And when that story clicks with the brand's message and what the audience expects, boom, design becomes this super valuable business asset. That's really where design psychology comes in.
Okay, let's maybe unpack that idea a bit more. Design isn't just, style or making things pretty. It's communication, fundamentally.
Right.
It's not about what looks cool on its own. It's about what it says.
That's such a key point. Because when we talk about good design going beyond just aesthetics, we're hitting on its real job, making people feel something specific.
The feeling part.
Yes. Effective design aims for an emotional response, something that nudges people towards taking action. And that connection, it's often subconscious, right? That's where design psychology really shines. The sources kept saying, if the design doesn't make you feel something, it's kind of failed its main mission.
Okay, so back to the speed thing. Visuals being processed so fast. The big implication for businesses seems pretty clear then. Perceptions get locked in, like immediately, seconds maybe, long before text gets read, which means every visual hint, layout, colors, fonts, images, it all has to line up perfectly with your brand message and what your audience expects, just to trigger the right feeling.
And it's fascinating because that speed isn't just about being efficient. It's like our brain's default setting. We're just wired to react to visuals first.
So it's instinctual.
Pretty much. And because those perceptions form so quickly, it's not just about having a slick website. It's making sure every single cue, even tiny details, work together to get the message across and avoid, cognitive overload.
Right, where there's just too much going on and your brain just checks out.
Exactly. You don't want that.
So if design is this silent language, what are the rules? Like the grammar. Our sources point into some key psychological principles that designers use all the time. Let's start with a big one. Color psychology.
Ah, color. Yeah, that's probably the most immediate emotional trigger you have in branding. It just instantly signals mood, values, energies sometimes before anything else registers.
Okay, but like what? Give me some examples.
Well, think about blue. It nearly always signals trust, calm, professionalism. That's why you see it everywhere in, say, healthcare or finance.
Makes sense.
Then you have red. Totally different vibe. Urgency, passion, action. Very common in food, retail, anything pushing for a quick decision.
Sales signs.
Exactly. Yellow tends to bring optimism, energy, creativity. Black often suggests sophistication, luxury, power. And green, well, that's pretty universal for health, nature, eco-friendliness, balance. Although it's worth mentioning, some studies do show cultural context can tweak these a bit, but the core emotional hit, it stays pretty strong.
So the key takeaway is really choose colors that match your brand's actual personality and connect with what your target audience already associates with those colors. It's got to be intentional, not just, oh, I like blue.
Precisely. Intentionality is everything. Then you've got visual hierarchy.
Okay, what's that?
It's basically how you guide someone's eye to the most important stuff first. Smart visual hierarchy uses things like size, contrast, spacing to make key points stand out.
So it tells you where to look.
Exactly. It guides people naturally through your content. It makes things less overwhelming because it's clearly structured. Think of it like a silent tour guide for the page.
Yeah, I've definitely bounced off websites that were just a mess of information fighting for attention. If you don't know where to look or what to click next, you're just gone.
You lose them instantly. It has to feel effortless for them to find what they need.
Okay, what else?
Typography and legibility. This is huge. Fonts aren't just decoration, they have personalities. They signal your brand's tone.
How so?
Well, a playful script font feels totally different from a clean, modern sans serif, right? One might feel friendly and casual, the other professional and maybe a bit formal. It affects how readable things are, how professional you seem, the whole vibe.
And if it's hard to read?
Forget it. Poor legibility is a massive barrier. Doesn't matter how great your message is if people struggle to actually read it.
Right, so you have to match the font to the brand identity, obviously, but also make absolutely sure it's easy to read everywhere. Big screens, tiny phone screens. If it's a strain, people just won't bother.
Absolutely critical. And then there's one more, often overlooked. White space. Or, negative space.
The empty bits.
The empty bits. It's like the unsung hero. It gives your design room to breathe. And the research shows it actually reduces cognitive load.
Meaning your brain doesn't have to work so hard.
Exactly. Which improves focus, makes things easier to understand. Plus, it often makes the whole thing feel more premium, more intentional. There's a subconscious link to luxury and clarity.
You know that feeling when you land on a site and it's just crammed? Banners, pop-ups, text everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Chaos.
Yeah, it feels chaotic, maybe even a little cheap or untrustworthy. But then you see a clean layout, lots of white space. It instantly feels more professional, more trustworthy, like comparing a messy garage to a minimalist art gallery.
That's a great analogy. And all of this really, it ties back to this core neuroscience fact that kept coming up in the sources. Something like 90% of purchasing decisions are made subconsciously.
90%, wow.
Yeah, driven by emotion first, and then we use logic later to justify it to ourselves.
Okay, that is huge for branding, for websites. It means people aren't just comparing features in a spreadsheet. They're feeling out the brand.
Totally.
They're asking themselves, like, does this feel trustworthy? Is this professional? Is this actually for someone like me? It's a gut check.
It really is. Not a logical analysis, not at first anyway.
And that's where design has its moment.
Yeah.
Right? It's the very first chance to answer those gut-level emotional questions without even saying anything.
Exactly. It sets the emotional tone for the entire customer relationship.
Okay, let's try to make this more concrete. Can we talk about some real-world examples where these principles really made a difference? Maybe some things we've seen in client work or case studies?
Sure. Like, for a wellness brand, using earthy tones, greens, browns, and sort of organic flowing shapes wasn't just about looking natural, it was a deliberate choice to create feelings of calm, safety, health. It directly tapped into the emotional needs of people looking for well-being.
Got it. So it matched the feeling they were selling.
Yeah.
What about something different, say luxury?
Okay, yeah. A luxury consultant, for example. Completely different strategy needed there. We might see designs using deep blacks, maybe touches of gold, really high contrast layouts. That's not just flashy, it's strategic. It's about boosting the perception of exclusivity, premium service. It speaks to that desire for something high-end.
Right, different audience, different emotional trigger.
Exactly. Or think about a creative coach. Maybe their site uses bright, vibrant colors, really expressive fonts, maybe even asymmetrical layouts.
More playful.
More playful, yeah, more energetic. Those choices reflect personality, energy, approachability. They're designed to attract a specific kind of client, someone who values creativity, expects that kind of vibrant energy in a coach.
So you can really see how design isn't just this optional, nice-to-have thing. It's the first impression. It's like the brand's emotional handshake with people, often before they know anything else about you.
It really is. And it's also important to flag some common design mistakes that can actually hurt you, even if the site looks kind of nice overall.
Oh yeah, like what?
Well, the sources often mention things like using way too many different fonts or colors. It just creates visual noise, feels chaotic, and people subconsciously trust it less.
Okay.
Or overusing animations. They might look cool for a second, but mostly they just distract people, maybe confuse them, break their concentration.
I've seen that. Annoying pop-ups too.
Weak contrast is another one, text that's hard to read against the background. Super frustrating for users, signals you didn't really care enough to get it right.
Yeah, accessibility matters too.
Absolutely. And then a really big one, no clear call to action. People land on your site, look around, but if they don't know what you want them to do next,
You lose the conversion.
you lose it. Also, using generic stock photos, they just scream inauthentic, doesn't build any real connection. And of course, the huge one today, Designs that aren't optimized for mobile.
Oh, definitely. People just leave immediately if it's bad on their phone.
High bounce rates, instantly gone. So the thing is, good design, when you experience it, it feels effortless. But behind the scenes, it's always super intentional, always based on understanding these psychological triggers.
Okay, this seems like a good point to maybe outline a kind of framework. Based on the research, what are the key steps for using design psychology effectively to strengthen a brand? Seems like there are maybe 5 core ideas.
Yeah, a 5-step approach seems pretty consistent. First, and maybe most important, know your audience deeply. What do they value? What are they afraid of? What do they desire? What pushes their emotional buttons? Your design has to reflect them, not just you.
Okay, know the audience. Step 1.
Second, clarify your brand personality. Be really clear. Is your brand bold, nurturing, a bit quirky, high-tech? Your visual language, colors, fonts, imagery needs to shout that personality loud and clear so it feels authentic.
Got it. Personality match. Third,
Be consistent. This is huge for building trust. Use the same color palettes, the same font pairings, similar image styles, the same tone of voice everywhere, website, social media, emails, everything. It creates a seamless professional experience.
reinforces the identity. Makes sense. Number 4.
Lead with emotion. Always remember that emotional handshake. Use design to make people feel something positive, curiosity, comfort, excitement, trust right from the first glance before their logical brain even kicks in.
Emotion first. Okay, and the last one.
Fifth, test and iterate. Design isn't a set it and forget it thing. The best brands are always watching how users behave, looking at conversion rates, seeing what people engage with, and then tweaking the design based on that data. It's a constant conversation with your audience through their actions.
Know your audience, clarify personality, be consistent, lead with emotion, and test iterate. That's a solid framework.
And what our deep dive really underscored is that design isn't decoration. It's pure strategy. Every single choice, color, layout, photo, it should have a purpose. It should be deliberately working to communicate your brand's value.
And these principles, they aren't just theory, right? They're actively used by top design firms. And, this is really central to the approach of JLLB Media, too. They really emphasize strategy first, making choices driven by psychology, telling a story with visuals, and keeping everything super consistent across all the places a brand shows up.
Right. It's about ensuring every visual element serves a strategic purpose. If you want your brand to make that strong first impression, to communicate effectively even before you utter a word, then making sure your design is doing its job properly is just crucial.
Yeah. So if you're listening and wondering how all this applies to your brand, how you could use these ideas for your own visual identity and strategy,
Yeah,
maybe talking to a firm that specializes in this could be really eye-opening.
definitely.
Firms like JLLB Media, for instance, they offer complimentary initial chats, like a 20-minute consultation, just to explore that, how to align your visuals with psychology, strategy, and telling the right story.
It's about making sure that silent handshake is a strong one.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening today, something to chew on. Knowing that 90% of decisions are emotional, how might you look at your own brand's visuals differently now? What silent messages is your brand sending out into the world right now?
Good question to ponder.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We look forward to connecting with you again soon.